So light. What is light? Sun is what gives us light usually, and in the night it's moon if it's there. The female is not the most reliable when you at the right time when you need. So there's a third element of fire, which we see right here, right? That's the child, the man, woman, and the child. Some say it's the star. Some I think it could even be the fire. You know, the combination of the two elements of sun and moon. But the reason I made this video was to criticize this headache-inducing artificial light. But I today wanted to talk about the quality, the five elements. So the five elements we know combined into the three biological humors of kapha, or the phlegm humor, the bile humor, and the gas humor. And these three different humors also have different colors. So we know phlegm has a basic three qualities of cold, wet, and what's the third one? Heavy, right? So now as we look in the kapha time of the day, which is the morning, look at the sky. It's heavy, right? It's overcast. It has the color white, which is another color associated with white, or with phlegm. And it's very cloudy, it's very heavy. It makes it hard to see through. And it's wet and it's cold in the morning. So that is the kapha time of the day. It has the quality of static. It basically looks like ice. Phlegm basically looks like ice, you know? Because it's white, it's cold, and it has the properties of earth and water, which is ice, basically. Because when the water comes to the earth, it basically becomes ice, you know? So that's the first element, the element of growth, the element that young children and babies are in, and which is more predominant in the season of spring as well. So that is kapha, or the phlegm humor. Next, we have the bile humor, which, as you can see, is the color of fire. It's yellow. It is the color of bile, which gives our urine the yellow color, and the feces the brown color. Bilirubin coming from bile. So yeah, it has the property of fire, right? It is hot, it is light, and it is actually considered to be wet, because you need some wax, you know, to make sure the flame lights up. So it's wet, it's fire, it has water in it, it has fire in it, and it has some air in it, which is why it's burning. If there was no air, it wouldn't be burning, right? And if I blow in air, then it moves, right? So it's influenced by air, it's influenced by water, but it's mainly fire. So that's the bile humor. It is the color yellow. It is hot. It is penetrating. It is odorous. It's what gives the sweat the odor, because it is pungent in its quality, just like fire. You know, when we burn herbs in the fire, then we release all the smells, because fire has that property of expanding and diffusing things into the greater whole. So when you burn your body, you basically go from kapha to which is ice or phlegm, to air, which is gas, which is the wind humor, vata, and fire makes it possible, right? So then we have the gas humor, which is cold. It is actually, I don't know if it's, yeah, it's like purple in color because the predominance of the gas humor is in the early morning hours. So the coldest part of the day is actually before the sun rises. That is the gas humor. It is cold. It comes from space. It has it has qualities of space and wind. So it comes very cold. It's what causes all the motions because based on the the space and the pressure dynamics. And um, it spreads. Also, it moves. It's light. It's very light, and it's very cold. It's light. It's cold, and it's dry. So the third property is drying. In opposition to the bile and the phlegm humors, it has a drying property, right? So in California, when it's this kind of weather, the rainy weather, then we have the phlegm humor in predominance, and we have a little bit of gas humor in predominance too when it gets really cold. Um, but the rain tends to neutralize the gas humor as long as you maintain warmth and some humidity in the domicile area. And then yeah, so its time is early morning, and its age is old age, and its color is like purplish, bluish, dark black, very dark colors. And that's bile. Gas, sorry, not bile, but gas. Funny that weed is also called gas because it neutralizes the gas humor, especially, but also the phlegm humor, as all smoke does. But it can aggravate the fire element, which is the bile humor. So my theory is that these three humors are also associated in the races, in the three old-time categorization of the human species into three races, or four. The fourth being the Australoid group that lives in the remaining tribal areas in the Amazon jungle. Sorry, no, in the Papua New Guinea and those Micronesian islands. There's still some people living in the natural tribal state of man, human, of man, and woman and child. So that's the fourth race. But the three races are the phlegm, the bile, and the gas. So the phlegm is white in color. It is more bulky. It is very cohesive. Just like white people are very tribal in nature, and they have a very us versus them kind of thing in their genes itself, which makes them more dangerous as a race. That's why they have, and the kapha humor, the growing regenerative humor, is also associated with wealth and more independence. Self-reliance. So that is a white race if you think about it, the European race, the Caucasoid race, the phlegm. And then we have the gas humor. Now, which race is black, right? Which race is black? Which race is dark in skin color? Which race is more like wind, which means it is not physical, but it's light, it's skinny. It has more elasticity, more flexibility, more range. That's the African American basketball player stereotype right there, Physically, the colors are there, the black color, the bluish black appearance of the early morning sky. And that's in the African race, right? So the African and also the Indians and other skinny kind of dark colored people tend to have brown, the dark brown Mexican people, for example. They're also very small. Vata types or gas humors are either very small and squat, or they're tall and wiry and very lanky. So just like the gas humor, they're very light, but they can be light like ice and kapha, but not big like kapha, but small like vata. Or they could be thin and wiry, still not very bulky, even though they're big in height, and they're tall in height. They may be tall in height, right? So those are the two extremes of the white and the black race. And then there's a third race, which is the yellow race, right? And that's the Asian race, actually. And Latinos, too, because they have that same kind of yellow skin, heavy eyelids, or smaller eyelids. And eye is the color of the bile humor. That's why their eyes are also especially unique, you know? Because their eyes are very fiery, very sharp, and, you know, pointed, like a flame. Whereas more kapha eyes are more rounded and more beautiful, like a flower, you know? And the gas, even though the flower is more of a gas humor, the gas humor eyes are smaller though. They may even be smaller than the Asian eyes, you know? Because their overall size is very small. But they can be very rounded, but they're not as even and therefore as attractive and big as the kapha eyes or the phlegm eyes, you know? So yeah, that's the yellow race. It has a very pungent property. They're the smartest race because they have the fire element, you know? But then Indians and black people have the wind element, so they are more profound and they have more access to more range of ideas and stuff. So you see a lot of black comedians with so much talent because they can have they have that mental flexibility and creativity, which is characteristic of the gas humor, you know? But the bile humor has the educative, so a lot of educators could be Asian people. You know, they're usually college professors and researchers and top researchers and academia. You know, they're all bringing that light from to the masses, you know? So yeah, those are the three races that I talked about. It's just a theory I had. And if you have all qualities of all three elements, then you have the fourth humor, which is a natural balanced of all three different humors. Whereas the white people are more phlegmy, the Indians and the blacks are more gassy, and the Asians and the Latinos are more fiery. And same for their women too. We all know about the spiciness of Latinas, and their soap operas reflect that. Same with the Indian soap operas, you see all the drama because there's still a lot of bile in Indian people. You see the North Indians are more yellowy in skin color too. So yeah, it's all it's I know in America it's like a big no-no to talk about race and the differences of race, but I believe that's how we stay ignorant of each other, and that's how conflict gets worse instead of get better with understanding and laughing with about each other's flaws and, you know, understanding each other's strengths too. Just like Dave Chappelle and his various comedies, or Chris Rock, you know. Get yourself some white friends, they'll change your life. All right, peace out. This is me talking about the three races, the three humors. And I'm doing that in my Ayurveda book more. I'm actually getting into the book read and talking in depth about the different humors. So I'll be doing that. The gas humor first. That's where I left off. So until next time. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Or may you go from darkness towards the light, and from death towards immortality, and from ignorance towards knowledge. Peace out.